Here we can take a look how to use Desmos to use the regression feature to look at another type of equation that maybe isn't linear. We can look at how to do a quadratic regression. It's just as simple. And we can set up some data and take a look at that. We can also take a closer look at how to set our viewing window so that it's easier to see the data. Let's take a look at a problem that's in your text on page 123, number 86, where it talks about data sales analysis. The sales Y in billions of dollars for Harley-Davidson from 2000 through 2010 are shown in this table. And the sales are 2.91 billion all the way up through 4.86 billion. Use a graphing utility to create a scatter plot of the data, so that means it's not going to be a perfectly linear set of data, and let X represent the year with 0 being the year 2000. So you're going to convert that data from 2000 to 0, and 2001 is going to be 1, 2002 is going to be 2. That's just like you did in your previous project. Then you're going to use what's called the regression feature, and that regression means that you're going to be creating the model instead of being given the model this time that's going to be used to predict a future event. So you're going to create the equation that you can use to create the event. So let me just show you how that's going to be done. You're going to go into Desmos and you're going to enter in the data. Now you can either enter in your X and Y chart like you did before, or you can copy and paste it. I have posted the data in an Excel file in the project folder on Blackboard. It's also there on your project worksheet, so you can either enter it manually or you can copy and paste it out of Excel. Now, this particular problem is also given in Excel. I have it, so I can just show you how to copy and paste. So when you see the data, you would highlight all of it and you would copy it. And you would go into Desmos and you would just come over here and click. And you can't right click and paste, you just have to Control V, and it would just copy and paste right in there for you. Now, as you can see, it's not very easy to see the trend in this data. So we need to adjust our viewing window, and we need to do more than just scroll in and out, but that's okay, that's no problem. And before we do that, let's go ahead and change our X values into the 0 through 10 that we want to use. So you're just going to highlight each one and change it. So 2000 is the year 0, 2001 is going to be 1, 2002 is 2, and so on. We're just going to keep going here. This will only take a second. And there you have it. And it moved your dots over a bit because it used a different scale. Now, to change your settings, you're going to go up here under the little wrench, the tool, and you're going to open it up. And you're going to tell Desmos what axis is most appropriate for your data. The x-axis is going to need to encompass the values from 0 to 10. So let's just tell Desmos that we just want to go from 0 to 10 because that's an appropriate setting for this one. And when it asks you what step, that just means what units do you want it to count in. Do you want it to count by 1s, 2s, 5s, 10s, 100s, or you can even count in decimal values, 0.1, 0.2, 0.25, 0.5. I think just counting by 1s here is good. So I figured out that when I enter in a value, you can't just go close it out. You got to just kind of click back in here and start doing something else so that it kind of enters it in there and goes to something else. Now the y-axis, notice how it's got negative values and all. You want to highlight there and let's change the y-axis as well. It starts at 2.91 and goes as high as, I think, 5.8 looks like the highest number. So I am going to start the y-axis at, I think, let's say 2.5. Actually, let's just start it at 2.0. And then we can go with the y-axis maximum as, let's go with 6.0. And let's step the y-axis at 0.25. There's no wrong choice there. You just need to use a good estimate, something that makes sense for your data. And I chose a decimal there because my data is in decimals. Now again, click there in the white of your toolbox so that it enters that in and saves it. and then you can click back into your viewing window, and now you can scroll and get a better picture of your data. So there's what your data looks like, and you can see the trend of your data. You can see that it starts low, it increases, their sales increased, and it hit a maximum up here at about $5.75 billion, and then it started to kind of go back down again for some reason. The economy must have tanked or something, and then it started to go back down, and then it started to level off again, and that's where our data stopped. So now we want to create that model, that regression model. So here's something new that you haven't done yet. So what you want to do is you come up here and you want to add item. So we're going to add an expression, we're going to add an item, and we're going to tell it that we're going to add a regression model. So we're going to add a y, and we're going to add a y sub 1. Notice how your values right here are in x1, y1. So we need to tell it that those are the same things we're going to work in. And instead of an equals, we want to use what's called a tilde, which is just a little squiggly mark, and it's on the upper left of your keyboard, and it's a shift little squiggly line there. And that's just telling Desmos that it's y in reference to x. And now we're in a quadratic because it's a curve, so we're going to work with x squared, and if you recall, it's ax squared plus bx plus c. So that's the form of our equation, and that's all we need to enter in. So we need to tell Desmos that we're doing a x, and remember it's sub 1, so we need our 1, but we need to back up here and we need to put in an exponent, so we need to tell it's x squared. See how right now we have a straight line because it's just reading an x. We need it to read an x squared. So if we give it x squared, it's going to start to curve. See how we generated a curve? Now we need to give it our plus bx, and again it's sub 1, so it disappears because now it's just trying to read an x, and it needs to be that sub 1. And then we need plus c. And so see, now Desmos made it fit our data. It made it curve around our data. So that's pretty good. But see these values of a, b, and c right here. These are the values that should fit right here in our equation for a, b, and c. Those are the values that fit this curve that most generally and best fit the dots or the pattern or trend of our data. Now watch what happens if I come down here and just generate that general equation. If I just write that equation in, let me see if I can't get rid of this keyboard down here so we have more room. Let me just write that equation in now as if I'm going to plot that quadratic equation. Let's write y equals, and I'm going to go ahead and plug in those values of a. I'm going to plug in y equals negative 0.067. Let's just round it off there. 0.067x squared. Let me get my keyboard back here. And then I'm going to put plus, and my b is 0.875 x, and then I need my plus c, which is 2.6946. And look how that matches my data so well, which I knew it would. It's the same equation that's up here. I just wanted to type it in to show you that those coefficients are what I needed to match my data. But what if I don't want to come all the way down here in the negative? Well, remember I learned how to set my domain and make it just go where I want it to go. I just want to plot from 0 from the beginning year over. I want to tell it only plot from 0 over, so I just want to go from greater than 0 over. So I just tell it that I want my domain to go from there to there. So that is how you would generate your quadratic regression equation and make it fit your data. And this one looks like it fits the data quite well and follows the pattern, and that is how you would use Desmos to generate your A, B, and C. And from there, I think you could probably take it from there. And if you want to use it to predict, then you use whatever x value you want to predict, and you would plug it into your regression equation and figure out what y is going to come out when you plug in the x that you want to know.